everybody, it's Chris Eads, Wootini over at gaygamer.net, here with another weekly video podcast. This week I wanted to start with a little bit of a rant that really doesn't have anything to do with video games, but it's about Lady Gaga, so it's gay, so that kind of counts, right? Lady Gaga releases her art pop album, and I'm curious, because I didn't really care for her last record. And I feel like her performance art of, like, her life has kind of overshadowed the music. And I thought, well, maybe she'll, like, you know, put out good music, and I can just overlook the crazy personal life and enjoy the music. You know, like you did with Michael Jackson back in the day. But listening to the record, I'm like, nah. It's like, she has this tendency to have, like, there's a couple songs that are just heinous. That rap song she did was just, no. That song is not good at all. Then at the other end of the spectrum, there's the ones that are actually, like, pretty solidly crafted pop songs. And then there's the ones in the middle where you have this, like, really awkward verse that leads to the really catchy chorus. And, like, her songs have sometimes 3 or 4 different really good hooks mixed up in that song. And it's like, I feel like she could just pick 1, maybe 2, and, like, just use those, and it would be a better song. Her songs are rather schizophrenic, to quote my favorite, Little Edie. Those of you gays of a certain age will understand that reference. Anyway, her songs are kind of like a hot mess. It's like this really janky talk-sing verse thing that she does that sounds really awkward and kind of terrible. And then she'll get into the chorus, and you're like, okay, this is a good song. So basically, like, remixes that only use the chorus would probably be ideal. But then even sometimes she'll have these really beautifully crafted, catchy pop songs, but the lyrics are just so obvious and painful. I mean, Born This Way has the most painfully obvious lyrics ever. Like, it's kind of pandering to your audience a bit. And it's just sort of disappointing, you know? I feel like she's trying to do this, like, art, but her art is kind of not that interesting. You know, I figure if she wants to do art, her lyrics should be a little more evocative, and maybe try for some symbolism instead of just basically stating outright. That was okay in the beginning, in the first album, when she was saying, let's dance, you know, just dance, that's great. But now she's, like, trying to be all pretentious, and Daddy always said an ounce of pretension is worth a pound of manure. And that's another gay reference. Okay, enough gay referencing, enough. I'm just disappointed with Gaga that I was hoping this would be a good comeback, but I feel the same way about this one I did about the last one. Anyway, let's move on to video games, which is what this podcast is supposed to be about. So, obviously, I'm still playing Wii Fit, and again, I keep noticing new things about Wii Fit. This week, the annoying thing that I noticed about Wii Fit was that, like I said last week, it gives you a calorie goal. So I am meant to burn 618 calories a day, which when I go to work, and if I take a nice long walk at lunch or something, I can easily get to 618 calories by the time I get home at night. Sometimes I have to wear the Fit meter around the house a little, but I'll eventually get there. But if on the weekends, if I'm not walking around and I'm being a lazy cuss in the house, there's no way I'm getting to 618. But I noticed this week that if you do outside activity that you enter into your chart, like I rode the stationary bike for 30 minutes, I enter that in, it says, okay, you've burned 156 calories. And it goes on the chart, but it doesn't count those against your 618 calorie goal. It doesn't count those against your daily calorie goal that it sets for you. And on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I get it, because you could just say you did something, but if you're gonna cheat, you're gonna cheat, so who cares? You know, and if you're gonna wear your Fit meter around all day, you're probably gonna be honest enough to actually not lie about having, you know, ridden a stationary bike or done some other exercise, because the Fit meter won't work if I ride the stationary bike, I'm pretty sure. I should try it, actually. I wonder if it would work. I wonder if that's enough movement to set it off. Maybe I'll try that tomorrow morning. We'll see. I'll report back next week. The other thing about Wii Fit that I've noticed is I set up my Wootini's gym, and some people joined it. I think I had like 6 or 7 people at most, and then the next day it would be like 4 people, and then it would be like 2 people, and then it would be like 4. Today it was 2, and I'm not really sure what that's all about, if people are leaving my gym to go to other gyms instead, or if they just haven't played the game in a few days, so they don't show up in the gym until they've played the game and have something to report, you know, that they've been working out and stuff. Not really sure how it works. But again, it's not that it really matters that much, because there isn't any real intercommunication going on. You know, it's sort of like it's just like a Miiverse thing, where like they can say, hey, I got a new record in this, and you can say, okay, I like that. And it's encouraging, I guess, but that's about it. So I'm still trying to understand the gym community thing. And then, of course, the other game that I've been playing this past week has been Pokémon Y. Last week, I didn't really have too much to say about it because it only just started. And now that I've been playing it for another week, it's hilarious because I still don't feel like the story is anything to write home about. Like, the story in Pokemon games, I don't know why I keep looking for a story, because there never is one. It's just this thin little excuse to get you out there collecting Pokemon. Now we're looking for some kind of the clues to Mega Evolution, but, you know, it's not important. It's a MacGuffin, really. The story in a Pokemon game is always just a MacGuffin to get you out there collecting Pokemon. So, yeah. So I'm out there, I'm collecting Pokemon, and it's enjoyable. There's quite a few distractions, though. I'd forgotten how many of those were. Like, I found the berry farm, and I'm like, oh, I should plant berries. And I'm like, do I really want to plant berries and then have to come back and get them and make sure that I'm watering them, and ugh, you know. And then I'm like, oh, look, there's the daycare. Do I really want to drop something off at the daycare and then, like, come back for it later? Because I will forget, you know. And I'm just like, I just want to stay focused on the adventure and, you know, play the game. But I have gotten distracted by the berries. I didn't put anybody in the daycare, but I probably should have, but whatever. I have planted some berries. I'm enjoying it, especially once somebody told me that you can actually walk around and you don't use your skates if you use the D-pad instead of the circle pad. So at certain points, I will, like if I've got to traverse a long distance, great, those skates are terrific to speed through. But if I'm in a town, I walk around with the D-pad so that I can, because it's hard enough to like angle yourself to walk up and talk to somebody without rushing past them on your skates like an idiot. The game continues to be really beautiful to look at. This is what I was thinking, because I didn't play the last Pokemon game. I played the one before it, but not the next one, because it's just more of the same. And I was like, oh, another Pokemon game, who cares? But then they're like, but look, it's polygons, and I said, oh, that is pretty. So maybe I should look at this. And I was like, maybe the graphics will be enough to get me to play it again. And it kind of was. Because honestly, the gameplay is exactly the same. It's just got a nice, pretty, fresh coat of paint on it. And it does look pretty. I'm still disappointed in the lack of 3D, where, like, you know, it goes into 3D for battles and stuff. And even then, not always, because sometimes there's, like, a little split screen in the battle, and then it's 2D, and then suddenly it's 3D. But it's not as it's disappointing that everything isn't in 3D. Although I went through a cave and it was in 3D for some reason, as opposed to the regular outside world. But it's not too distracting going from 2D to 3D, because even when it goes to 3D, it's not like super deep 3D stereoscopic effect. You know, you're not going from like 2D to 3D. You're going from 2D to a little bit of 3D. So it's all right. I do wish the whole thing was in 3D, but what are you gonna do? But I'm trying to stay focused and play the game and not get too distracted by all the side quest thingies. Because I would like to finish it at some point, because there are other games coming out. I mean, next week, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, plus Super Mario 3D World, plus I think there's a Mario Party game coming out too. It's ridiculous. But I only really care about the Zelda game. There's, you know, like, I thought about waiting on Pokemon and picking up Zelda, because that was about to come out, but then I thought, no, because with Zelda, I'm going to play it all the way through, and that'll take me a while. But with Pokemon, I'm not necessarily going to play it all the way through. So I said, let me play Pokemon now, and I'll put Zelda on my Christmas list, and I'll get it maybe in December. And then it'll be fine. Because by the time Christmas rolls around, I should be mostly done with Pokemon. Or I will be done with Pokemon, depending on how far I get. Because usually with Pokemon, I don't play it through to 100% completion. I just play it until I get to the point where I feel like I've completed the main story, and then they're like, but now there's this other adventure you can go on. And I'm like, I'm good, I'm going to go play something else now, finally. I've played this long enough. So that's usually where I'll stop. And then I can play Zelda. Because Zelda looks so cool! And it's in proper 3D, which I enjoy. Because I don't like the way that this... Now that they have the 2DS, I feel like they're kind of abandoning the whole stereoscopic 3D thing. I mean, they've started putting out 3D videos that aren't in 3D on Nintendo Video. Like, there's these little Zelda shorts and stuff, and there was something else that they're not even in 3D. Some are. But there's a couple that I've seen where they're just like, no, it's just a 2D video. And I'm like, why do you even bother? Just put it on YouTube. I want 3D. That's what the 3DS is for. 3D coming at ya. So, at least Zelda's doing it. So, they're not giving up completely. So, that'll do me for this week. I'm going to shut up and let you get back to whatever it was you were doing before you decided to watch me ramble on for a while. And I'll see you next week. Bye.